It's Tuesday, December 31st, 2019. So I was sitting here today thinking a little bit about the new year, 2020, which is coming very, very soon. And as I was thinking about what we're going to see in 2020, leaving 2019, a melt-up year, what in the world are we going to see in 2020? And while I'm thinking of a few thoughts, a buddy of mine from Texas called, my buddy Aaron, who's been on the show a couple times over the summer. I'll be back in Texas to see my good friend Aaron, and we'll do some more shows. But we had about a 20-minute conversation today, and he had told me that he was talking to a friend of his who was kind of making some judgments on Aaron, kind of rousing him a little bit, because Aaron is a big believer in holding physical silver. And his friend, and this is not an unusual conversation. Many of you have probably had the same conversation with people you know, and I know Aaron's had it with other friends, associates, and coworkers, where he kind of takes a little flack because he's not a big market guy like many of his coworkers and friends. And so this friend of his was kind of joking with him that, over 10 years, he's made this much money in the markets, and Aaron's just holding physical silver. Now, mind you, his friend is not holding any of this money. This money is still in the market, is just digits on a screen. Aaron probably holds more silver than any physical silver than anybody I know. And it's not because he makes $1 million a year in law enforcement. And let me tell you, this guy is a patriot. He loves this country. And he's not going to infringe on anybody's rights. This guy is holding more silver than anybody I know. And it's not because he makes a lot of money. He makes a comfortable living. But what he does is he makes sacrifices. This guy doesn't take big vacations. He's not driving a Mercedes or Lexus or BMW. He's put limitations in his life. He's made sacrifices so that he can purchase those hard assets, that silver, because he has a feeling that his pension is not going to be there for him. And so he is ensuring his wealth. He's leveraging things by building this portfolio of hard physical silver, where his friends are hoping that their pension is going to be there for them down the road, 10 or 15 years. They're hoping that 401k is going to be there for them. So again, it's digits on a screen versus actually holding the hard physical asset. And we're in a time here where many of us have to make a choice. Are we going to put our trust in the dollar, this fiat paper monopoly money? Or are we going to continue to put faith in banks, financial institutions, the biggest criminals in the world? Are we going to continue to believe that if something happens, the Federal Reserve is going to ride in and save everybody? Are we going to continue to put faith in this stock market that we know is extremely manipulated? It's a complete Ponzi scheme built on top of quicksand. Now, you can do that. That's your choice. But people like Aaron, people like myself, and many of you watching this video, we're not going to put our faith in pipe dreams and Ponzi schemes built on quicksand. We're putting our faith in ourselves, holding our own money, our own cash, our own silver, our own gold, in areas that are easily accessible and easily obtainable when we need to get to them. Where the average person, when this thing collapses, the average person is not going to get to their 401k. They're not going to be able to get out of the stock market fast enough, because there aren't going to be enough exits. There aren't going to be enough buyers to come in to buy these losses. And so, again, this is a time here in America where you have to make serious choices, because it's going to affect your future down the road. Now, Aaron's friend is not aware, obviously, of corporate buybacks and how they have propped up the stock market, how they have distorted these markets. His friend is not aware that literally $1 trillion has been pumped in since September to the end of this year in the repo market because of the liquidity crisis that is taking place in our banking system. He's not obviously aware that we had 3 straight rate cuts and that we're almost at zero right now, 1.5 to 1.75. Heading into recession, very little ammunition for the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve balance sheet also expanding up to about $4.5 trillion. I don't think his friend is aware of that either. These people are just, focused on the screen, on the computer screen with digits. They have no recollection of what can happen and what is about to happen. The Fed is buying, this is something else that his friend is aware of, that the Fed is buying $60 billion of Treasury debt a month. I mean, we are witnessing quantitative easing taking place while people are still telling us how great. I mean, they're selling us. They're selling us on their belief that the market is strong, healthy, but they don't see, for some reason, and it's always very intelligent people too, many times, they don't see the manipulation that is happening right before their very eyes. They're not aware that the markets are flooded with zombie corporations that took all this easy cash over the decade. And as soon as interest rates tick up a little bit, these companies, these corporations are going to be in massive, massive trouble. And when the selling begins, there will be no buyers, there will be no exits, and there's going to be big trouble and a big price to pay when this collapse begins. They're not aware that corporate debt is at all-time highs. You would think that if things were so good, that corporate debt would not be at all-time highs. They're not aware of all of this fake wealth. These are people who are living in fake wealth. They're either paper millionaires or they believe their pensions are going to be there. They're looking at those 401ks. They're looking at this big melt up this year and how much money they made, but they don't have it in their hands. They don't see the melt up. They don't see the fake wealth, digits on a screen, and they don't understand in the blink of an eye, boom, those digits are gone. And as soon as things start getting out of control here in this economy, those digits are going to be annihilated, and people are going to wake up one morning and they're going to go, what happened? And they're going to be completely unprepared for what is about to happen. So let's take a minute and talk about fake wealth. Over the last decade, we have seen fake prosperity boom. And fake prosperity has created paper millionaires, and it's created complacency. This is no time for complacency as we enter 2020. We are going to be entering a very dangerous time as far as financially here in America. And let me tell you, every one of you, there is a reaction to every action. Central banks have been printing money out of thin air for decades now, and it's created a massive amount of fake wealth. And, when you really look around, you look at all this reality TV, it's all fake. You look at people on social media, it's all fake. You look at people acquiring things with money they don't have, it's all fake. I mean, everything, including the stock market, is fake. Everything we're seeing on TV, everything we're seeing on social media, it's all fake. Everybody is just putting on this front that there's somebody, that they have wealth, okay? And we have people that continue to look at digits on a screen believing they're paper millionaires, and we have people with 15 credit cards that believe they have wealth because they can buy stuff with a plastic card with money they don't have. That, my friends, is not wealth. That, my friends, is stupidity. We're going to see the reaction to this fake wealth bubble and debt bubble, both that have been created by this money wizardry. And what I mean by that is money printing, okay? This money magic that the central bank has been performing over the decade of printing money out of thin air. This garbage is going to come to an end. And remember, the more they print, the more debt they create, and the more they devalue your currency. So every time you go to the store and wonder why everything is getting more expensive, Now you know why. Because they're printing massive amounts of money and it is hurting our currency. The entities that most people believe will save them if these markets collapse are the same entities that are currently destroying the financial system, and that is the central banks. Here's a warning. We are watching, and this is coming from Egan von Grier's right here. He gives a couple warnings. We are watching the destruction of savings and pensions right now. And this is why my good friend Aaron is stacking silver, because he doesn't believe that that pension is going to be there. His friend is not aware that these pensions are being robbed right now, that these pensions are unfunded, and that when things get bad in these markets, these pensions are toast, and these pensions are going to be robbed even more, just like Social Security. Also, central banks around the world are panicking due to major problems in the financial system. Take a look at the $1 trillion that they had to inject into the repo markets. Most people understand football, they like their craft beers, but they have no idea of what the repo market is or what is happening. They have no idea even what's happening to their own pension, but they're going to sit there and watch football games, drink beer, and play fantasy football, I guess, while their pensions are being robbed, while the repo market is being completely controlled now by the Federal Reserve, injecting $1 trillion. And watch the repo market in 2020. I believe it will be on steroids. So while people are watching football, watching their cartoons, watching reality TV, drinking their craft beers, the repo market will be on steroids. Another grave warning that something is very wrong in our economic system that they are not telling you. And most people are going to be set up. They're going to be taken by surprise. They're going to wake up one day, those digits on a screen are going to be gone, and they're not going to know what to do because they have nothing to fall back on. They have no hard tangible assets, no cash reserves, nothing saved up. They have nothing but credit cards. Now, credit card companies are raising limits. At some point, the credit card companies will do the opposite and they will start cutting limits, and these people are going to be in big trouble when they can no longer live in those little plastic cards, when they can no longer post pictures of their cocktails and their steak dinners at Morton's, when they can no longer post pictures of having the Mai Tai at the beach that they're putting on the credit card. Look, this is no time to be impressing people with running up debt, posting pictures on social media of what you're eating for dinner. This crap doesn't matter. You better wake up and get out of the matrix right now and start preparing for what is coming. And if you haven't started preparing, you are so far behind. You better start tonight. We're watching the markets, we're watching these metals now ticking up a little bit in the markets. They're not slamming gold and silver down like they used to. That is for sure. But we have seen nothing yet. You know, when I see gold go up $5 or $10 in a day, I see silver going up, 15 cents, 30 cents in a day. That's nothing. That is just child's play. I truly believe one day you're going to see gold going up $100 in a day. You're going to see silver going up $10 in a day. And at this point, it's going to be too late to acquire any more. So right now, if you have the ability, if you have the means, if you have $20, you can get an ounce of silver right now. There is no excuse of why anybody watching this video on their $1,000 computer or their $1,000 phone cannot buy an ounce of silver tonight and be preparing. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family. Serious times are coming to America. People have never really suffered hard times in America. The people back in the Depressionary days, most of those people don't exist today. Very few of them do. They were very young. But we have not been tested, and our day of reckoning is coming. We've had it way too good, way too long here in America, and we have really taken it for granted. We've taken advantage of it. People have become narcissistic, hedonistic, and this country, not just the economy, but the country socially needs a reset, and it's coming, and it's going to happen. And so do yourself a big favor and do your family a big favor. Make sure that you're taking care of all preparations, food, water, make sure you have assets, and most of all, make sure you have security. Getting back to this list from Egan von Greer's, JP Morgan has the biggest derivative position in the world. This is why the Fed may have stepped in to these repo markets. We may, as we said earlier, we may have had a big bank in big trouble. That may be JP Morgan. We don't know. We still have Deutsche Bank out there in big trouble. There are unlit bombs out there right now. And as soon as one of these bombs is sparked and lit, we're going to see others going off. This is going to be, as I've said many times, it's going to be a historical time in America. It's going to be biblical. Make sure that you're walking close to God. And when you have a spiritual connection with God, you're going to understand more and more of what's actually happening right now here in America. Junk bond levels now account for more than half of the investment grade market. I bet Aaron's friend didn't know that either. You know, when this thing turns, when this thing corrects, it is going to be, I don't even think we can fathom how explosive this correction is going to be. Saving the system at this point is 100% impossible. If you just look at the data, if you look at the numbers, it's absolutely impossible. They are going to continue to print money out of thin air, continue to devalue this currency all the way to the very end. Gold is your go-to. Silver is your go-to. These are the only two assets, and right now, the two most undervalued assets on the entire planet, gold and silver. If you don't have this, I think you're making a huge mistake. I don't give financial advice, but personally speaking, I will be making an order, and many times people continue to ask me where I order my gold and my silver from. SD Bullion, I have a link down below. I'm not selling anything. I'm making another order myself tomorrow. I will unbox that as I do many times when it comes in. So I will make an order tomorrow. I pay by check, so it takes a little bit longer. But as soon as that comes in, I will do an unboxing and show that to you. But I believe that all this stuff is on sale. And guess what? Just like Aaron, I have to make a sacrifice. So if I buy an ounce of gold, that means that I'm not taking a vacation. That means that I'm not, buying something fun. Maybe I can't buy a drone right now, or whatever. I mean, there's other things I could do. But right now, gold and silver is available, and these prices are, in my opinion, extremely affordable because it's only going one way, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going down. And yeah, it could go down $10 tomorrow. Look, we're talking long term, okay? Gold is up right now 20% over the year, 20%. So if you listened to me last year and you bought gold, you're up 20%. Same thing with silver. I think it's about the same. So anybody who bought a little silver or a little gold lost no money. You're up 20%. So do I believe it's going to continue to go up? Yes. And I believe it's being really purposely pushed down because they don't want gold and silver to go up because that shows a weak dollar. But you know what? The dollar is weak. It's going to get weaker, and gold and silver are going to get much stronger to the point where you're going to look at it and go, I cannot believe how expensive it is getting. So acquire it now while you can. That's what I'm doing. I'm not giving you any financial advice. I'm just sharing with you what I'm doing, what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Hyperinflation is coming along with this coming depression, and you will watch most assets in the world crash. And there are going to be two assets that don't crash. That's going to be gold, and that's going to be silver, and that is going to give you massive buying power in a time where most assets are going to crash. They're going to be dirt cheap, and you're going to have buying power because you're going to have real money. So I want to leave you with this. I'm not telling you to buy silver and gold because it's the end all be all. It's not. You need to be topping off all other preparations. And first off, if you don't have food, water, and security, you shouldn't be buying gold and silver right now. Number one, I would be buying security because that's going to be the number one asset. Then I would be buying food and water. Then at that point, if you have food, water, and other gear, trauma kit, things like that, your medication, once you have that covered, then I would be looking at the financial side of things of gold and silver. Be aware that these markets have a very good chance of being brought down artificially, purposely. We have some very bad actors here in America. And there is no doubt, and many of you know, that they have the power and the ability to crash these markets at any given time. And I believe it will be done purposely. It will be accelerated artificially by a small group of people who are going to do this on purpose. And in doing so, they are going to unleash the most dangerous time in American history. So knowing that we're heading into very uncertain times, knowing that there's going to be geopolitical uncertainty, there's going to be civil and social uncertainty, financial uncertainty, I'm going to leave you with this. You're going to need more than rice and beans and a case of water to get through this.